IP, right?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a chocobo, because you interact with it more, versus like a Rathalos, which you don't see until later, unless you introduce it early and then it makes appearances every now and then. So there's like two routes I feel like we can go into this, right? So it's either something you interact with a lot. So for example, if on the island the mode of transport is riding giant dodo birds, similar to Chocobo.
Yeah.
And we make them really wacky, that could be one way to do it.
Yeah.
Or like the cats in Monhun. They're everywhere,
Palico?
right? Yeah, the palicos.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. When people see a palico, they think Monhun.
That's true. Even Button thinks that.
Or you go like a bigger monster, like a Rathalos, but we weave it into the story where you run into it often enough. As like, for example, you know how World does Nergigante?
Yeah.
Where you're kind of like, yeah.
They keep showing him throughout the story. Spines. A thing is eating elders. Oh, what's this scratch mark? I've never seen this before. You know.
Yeah, so I feel like those are our two approaches to this. Do you have a preference?
Personally, I prefer a mid creature or a harmless creature.
Mid or harmless?
Yes, because I kind of wanted to make it. I wanted a monument on the island originally to have something like maybe there's two overhangs of the island that don't make any sense, but they kind of resemble wings. Or maybe there's a rock section mountain that kind of resembles the head of a dragon or a creature. Or like I said, maybe there's a bunch of rabbit creatures running around, and I wanted to do like maybe two tall rock mountains, kind of like you would see in a Chinese story. You know, it's like rounded at the top, but also goes straight up for some reason.
I think like a rabbit-esque creature could be fun. I feel like me personally, I'm leaning more towards harmless or weaker.
Okay.
Just as like a way of establishing like an iconic monster or familiar monster early on with repetition, I think could work a bit better. This is not to say that we can't actually do both.
Yeah, maybe
I feel like actually both is probably a good option. Is we can probably have like in the intro shot, right? Like some statue or something of like an iconic figure in the story or whatnot, you know, those like little things. Or like, oh, this town is like this monster themed and they have like, oh, goods from this monster. It's like their local delicacy or something. Like if a town was known for eating bear meat or something, and then they have like bear themed things all over the place. Or whatnot.
I want a frog.
You want a frog?
Sorry, the frogs keep popping into my head.
Then we should do a frog. Frogs should be fun. I mean, I feel like a lot of other games, right? Frogs are usually not the quote-unquote icon. Just because they're kind of amphibious and people like furry things.
I don't know how to build into frog.
What do you mean by you don't know how to build in?
How I like to draw frogs, generally you've seen, they're very round. They're like the rain frogs. I like those. Um, a ball for an island? That is,
Mm,
I don't know, how'd you see them be like, that kind of looks like a frog, you know?
uh, well, the notable parts of a frog is usually the hind legs, right?
Either the hind legs or the bloated neck thing.
Mm-hmm. Let me see. Let's look at frog in 3. So, for example, the side from the front is probably not that great for that.
It kind of makes me wonder though, how much back and forth when people do add these elements, how much back and forth do they go through? Like, would they establish the monster first or the island first? No, they do the island first. That's what it is.
Because a lot of the things, for example, in general, for a lot of monster design, it depends on the environment. Because
Yes.
typically creatures look like what they need to do. And what
Yes,
do
yes.
creatures usually need to do? They either need to procreate or eat. Now, depending on where they are on the ladder of what eats what, their needs are going to be different, right? So that's why I was like trying to figure out, okay, what environments do we have? Or what like biomes and whatnot. Just because that
Yeah,
information is kind of necessary if you're going to design,
the
especially like a
creatures.
higher tiered creature.
Yes.
Or you could even, actually going tadpole might not be a good idea.
What do you mean? You mean it wouldn't be a good idea?
Well, okay, you know what we could also do?
Mm-hmm.
We could have tadpoles.
All right.
And then because they have stages, right? First you start off as a tadpole, and then you sprout hind legs, and then you sprout front legs, and then you lose the tail, and you're a
Sperm
frog.
monster.
There's that. So
Sperm monster.
on the different tiers of the island, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could be fighting different versions of this one monster. So at the end, or at least if we're going frog, the boss of this demo could be the full frog. But you've been fighting the same thing, same species, throughout your entire journey of the island demo as far as we've got it.
So you fight adolescents,
So you start off by like
creatures throughout.
murdering these helpless little tadpoles, or which kind of
Yeah.
works with what we were planning to begin with, where like you start off by being not a good person, bullying these little tadpoles,
Mm-hmm.
and they start sprouting legs, and they're a little bit more dangerous. And then once it's got all of its legs and no tail anymore, you're in trouble. Because then it can scale vertical ground much more efficiently. If we're going frog, I feel like this might be something we might want to look into.
You know what? Hmm. Never mind. I was gonna say we could explore some more other creatures before we get to this point,
Oh, for sure.
but I do like the idea that kind of like you're fighting Jagresses the whole time, and then the final boss is a great Jagress. I like
Pretty
that idea. It's
much,
kind of fun.
yeah. At least for the iconic quote-unquote monster, I guess. This could be a route, but the thing is, the problem with this is throughout the entire journey, it changes, which means the impression of it as it is, the number of impressions is lower. Because then you're associating with this monster different forms. Which, not the most helpful for making something, I guess, iconic, quote-unquote. But it could be a theme, I don't know.
Well, we'll have to see.
Or maybe they just get bigger. You start off with the small versions, small frogs, and you just start like fighting and they get bigger and bigger.
Every frog, every tadpole you kill just gets a little bigger.
Yeah.
And then
And
the final
suddenly
one is just a giant frog.
no, and then suddenly you find the frog that's been creating all these tadpoles. And it's like the size of like half the mountain.
Man, that's pretty good actually.
You know that image of like the turtle getting out of hibernation?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's got like the snapping turtle, right? It's got like a little literal island of like mud on it with moss and everything on top of it.
Yeah.
It's just
Amphibian
like
type creature would be a good one. Oh yeah, Chameleos. If
Chameleos
you've
is
played
pretty
Monster
cool.
Hunter, Troll. I don't know if you've played that. You know what? I want the demo to end with a chase scene. I want it to be monsters have gotten too big and you can't kill this one. So maybe it like hunts you down and chases you down. You run for dear life. You know, Sonic Adventure, right? Sonic Adventure 2? Hello?
Sonic Adventure 2?
Yeah, you know Sonic Adventure 2, the first sequence where you get chased by that truck.
I don't know if I played that one. Or rather, it's been a long time. Is it a
Well,
GBA
there's a
game?
no, it's Dreamcast and GameCube.
Then definitely I have not played it.
Okay, basically the first level is City Escape. You go through it. You're being you're being hunted down by the government. So at the very end of the level, there's just this little thing. You go under it, and then you get chased by this giant government truck, and
Okay,
you're just running for dear life away on the city to get away from the truck.
okay.
I kind of want that to be how it. Maybe it doesn't have to be, but it's a fun idea. I like the idea of a monster that's so big you can't actually kill it, and you
Hmm,
just have to run away like a panic dash.
okay. So it's like a chase gameplay until you can shake it off. Because you can't
And
fight
maybe
it.
Yeah, and maybe that can segue to upgrades or new unlocked area because it's run through a bunch of stuff.
I think that, I like that.
World and Rise are the only ones under my belt. Yeah, same. I played a little bit of Ultimate, but not that much. I'm gonna be honest. My main games are also World and Rise. Bean, you're 4 though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bean's played more Monhunt than I have.
He says, I've played more titles, not hours.
He's played more titles than me. And hours,
No, this
probably.
is not true.
Most
Basically,
likely.
for the older games, I just like beat the basic story and then I'd stop. Which is basically the same as stopping after you beat Nergigante.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So once the story ends, I'm not talking about the. So basically, I never got to master rank in the old games.
Oh, interesting.
Would be the equivalent. Back then, they called it G rank, I believe.
Yeah, G ring. Sorry, I'm just imagining how funny the scene's gonna be as a giant toad rushes you down, breaking mountains behind you. Because you've been killing all its children.
Just wants to
What if
chomp on you.
what about instead of wyverns, they're all frog based?
Hmm.
Like different versions of frogs. Like a turtle frog, a rhino frog.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. So like give them all like the giant or the extended sticky tongue. Or maybe some don't even have those extended sticky tongues. But they
Uh-huh.
hop around. Or a chameleon frog, or a centipede frog, or a snake frog.
So basically, everything is slimy.
Not necessarily. There can be. Yeah, basically.
You thought about it, I was like, yep.
There could be some more dry ones. They don't have to be all sticky and slimy. There can be more textured ones, you know. But we don't have to do frogs. I just thought frogs because I like frogs. We could do
Frogs are pretty
fish.
cool, dude.
We could do fish-based creatures. We could do bug-based creatures. We could do rabbit-based
I
creatures.
feel like if we do bug base, the player base will be much lower. Granted, this is just a demo, but I don't know. I think you might want people to actually try and play this.
It could be okay based on how cute we make it, quote unquote. Like maybe it's cute and then his face opens up and there's like 10 mouths and 100 eyes. I don't know.
By that logic, I mean, you could just have everything be a body, but with parasites.
Everything's a zombie on the island.
Yeah. That everything is just like alive, presenting.
What else could we do? We could maybe everything is based off of a scorpion or an arachnid. Imagine a monkey with like 8 legs.
Kind of hard to make that cute, though. Actually, no,
Yeah,
it's
that wouldn't be.
possible.
That wouldn't. No, I don't think so.
It's possible. It's just it would take a very specific type of player. I
Yes.
can kind of see it, but I'm not sure
Button.
that many people will think it's cute.
Button. Say an animal. Any animal. Button's gone.
Yeah, but
Button. Say an animal. Any animal. Any animal.
Get the
Any animal button. Any animal.
My brain hurts. Oh god.
The brain animal.
That would just be us from Baldur's Gate.
Any animal button. Any.
Okay,
What
okay,
animal do you
okay.
like? What do you like?
I like the long legged the long legged fox, the maned wolf or whatever it's called.
Mm,
Yeah, the maned wolf. So cool.
maned wolf. Oh. Oh wow, it's got long legs.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Being creatures. What if we did long-legged millipede versions of creatures?
Isn't that basically a house centipede, but just longer?
Yeah, but the image I have is, you know, that one bird that carries all its kids under its wings?
Mm-hmm.
That thing. The thing that looks like it has 12 legs.
Uh-huh.
But for all creatures.
Yeah,
Yeah, just stick
no.
extra legs. Do you know how hard it is to design more legs than quadrupeds if you're not making it an exoskeleton situation?
Then we make it an exoskeleton. We make it a textured exoskeleton and add fuzz on top of that.
Oh, so we're basically just making spiders, or rather tarantulas.
Yes, basically. But I said millipede because we can go crazy with the leg count.
Do you want to draw that many legs, dude?
I mean, it won't be too bad if I
That
can just
many
gesture.
fur-covered legs?
It'll just be gestured. It'll be implied. We'll do a call out or something. But, okay. Do you have a creature you like, Bean? That you think would just be interesting?
Hmm.
Sorry for interrupting you, or you have drawings to do.
What do you mean?
He's got fish to draw, and fish people to draw, and fish millipedes to draw.
I mean, if we're talking about bugs, a fun one would be tree hoppers.
What are those?
They're the ones with the wonky, crazy-looking appendages
Tree hoppers.
and really crazy
Whoa,
colors.
all these things. Yeah, you said this. That's cool. Maybe.
Uh, weevils are also kind of fun, but
The ones that look like cartoon characters.
not sure. What's a fun creature? I think frogs are pretty fun and interesting
Okay.
because there's different shapes you can play with. Like you can play with toads, you can play with different the leafy kind of looking ones. You have a lot of color variation that you can play with in patterns.
Dude, the Pac-Man frogs exist. We can use those.
Yeah. It's another interesting creature. Lizards could be fun. They do come in some different shapes. They're quadruped. But then the thing is that runs into being similar to Monhun because they're basically lizards.
Yeah. They're all wyverns, so they all have like
Lizard features. I feel like we should at least be a bit different than that. I feel like something with And also just because like from like a perspective or connotation aspect, right?
Yeah.
Typically mammals are considered more relatable.
But I think it's true.
So it's easier to make them at least emotionally appealing.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're gonna sell the point that they're like, oh, they're cute, they're nice, they're fuzzy, and then suddenly it's kind of scary or like dangerous, or suddenly it's like, oh, what the heck is this thing? I feel like mammalians, mammals.
Can turn them all into cats.
Yeah, that's true.
You want cat creatures? They'll all have cat ears and cat tails.
I think that could work, or we could just do mammals in general. That way we can have
Sure.
variety.
Sure.
But I think if we go with stereotypically cute and adorable mammals, like your dogs, your cats, your rabbits, your I don't know, chinchillas, hamsters.
Mm-hmm.
I think that'd be kind of fun. Especially like, you know, how like the typical association with them is like, oh, I care about those. You would never tell you would never go and be like, oh, time to kill someone's hamster or something. Versus if someone had a tarantula, like burn it with fire, right?
Yeah.
So I think playing on that kind of notion
Okay.
and choosing all the things, and again, I'm looking back at like our whole idea of the out appearance being nice and like the facade thing. So you know that ReZero scene with all the crazy rabbits, the flesh-eating rabbits? Yeah. I'm thinking in that vein. So they look cute at first, and then like you get eaten by a swarm of them.
That could be good.
And also, hamsters are freaking nasty. Those things are vicious creatures. So if you just scale up a hamster, that is already a pretty good opponent, I feel. But I will say I also do quite like frogs. I feel like frogs, they can look really dumb and like unassuming, and then like just chomp on you. I like that.
Eat your head.
Trying to, I feel like I've just been sucked into the frog propaganda, you know, where you see like those dumb looking like white frogs, white tree
Frog
frogs, and they're like
propaganda.
cute and like soft.